Welcome to In Depth for a look at what is making mining headlines in the Americas. Canadian miners burst into 2011 with a flurry of new deals being announced, and it seems likely things are only just getting started. Mining Week's deputy editor for North America, Lizzo, who is based in Toronto, Canada, joins me to discuss the issue. Welcome to the show, Lizzo.
Hi, Martin. Nice to see you.
Lizzo, please explain to us what the environment is like at the moment for mining companies. Are people looking to sit down and get into negotiations?
It definitely does seem to be that mergers and acquisitions is something that's almost consuming the industry at the moment, Martin, I think. We just had the, as you know, the Prospectors and Developers Association of Canada, or PDAC, conference in Toronto earlier this month. And speaking to CEOs, other executives, and then of course you've got your analysts and lawyers and everyone else around the industry, it definitely does seem to be that everyone, almost without exception, from the smallest companies to the biggest ones, everyone's out there looking to acquire properties, projects, mines, and other companies as well. And then we also hear people talking about maybe merging with companies that are similar sizes. So that's certainly a theme. And then on the other side of the coin, we have, when you ask companies, well, have you had approaches maybe from large or other firms that are interested in your assets and maybe interested in acquiring you? Again, the answer invariably is yes. So, and then what that does seem to bring along, we hear, and that's something that the industry is seeing, is matchmakers, some of whom maybe don't even have any or that much experience in the mining industry, but they've got a Rolodex full of contacts, and they're going to the companies and proposing deals, maybe promising to being able to put them in touch with other people, and so there really is a lot of everyone's out there talking to everyone, I think, at the moment.
And what are some of the sectors where we might see transactions being undertaken?
Well, we've seen a lot of activity, of course, in the copper space. There's deals that have been announced already this year, and then I think the market is watching. There are a number of copper companies with projects, big projects, and reasonably attractive projects that are just moving through the advanced stage. They've either got feasibility studies pending, or the study's out, so they're waiting to make a construction decision, looking for finance, and then there are some that are actually in construction already. And I think a lot of those companies are maybe viewed as potential targets for the larger as well as the mid-tier copper and base metals companies. Something interesting that we're seeing, obviously, as you know, silver has had a good run. In 2010 it rose sharply, and then we're seeing just in the last few days a new 31-year highs for silver. And there are a number of companies sort of, I suppose, in the mid-tier range, maybe with one or two silver mines, a lot of them in Mexico. And there does seem to be some interest from those companies. Not only they all have said they're looking at adding more projects and looking at adding more mines, but also there may be some interest, I think, in maybe putting two or even three of those companies actually together to create a bigger silver precious metals producer. And then, of course, along with silver, gold is definitely, I think, a perennial favorite in terms of all the deal-making activity going on in the background.
It also seems likely that there are a number of hostile offers or competitive situations. Can you run us through some of these takeover battles getting attention at the moment?
Yeah. Well, first of all, of course, there's one story that we've been following quite closely, the Equinox Lundin Inmet saga, where we spoke about it. Lundin and Inmet agreed on a merger of equals earlier this year, and then along came Equinox with its hostile offer for Lundin. So that story is really still unfolding. Lundin has actually, they've rejected the Equinox offer. They've said they're standing by the merger with Inmet that was agreed on earlier this year. Interestingly, and this is something that Equinox has pointed out, Lundin hasn't gone so far as to say that the Inmet transaction is superior to the Equinox deal, but Lundin does have a laundry list of reasons why they're not happy with the deal as proposed by Equinox. They're not happy with the debt that Equinox will need to take on to finance it. They're not particularly thrilled with the Equinox management and their ability to lead the larger group. And there's a number of things that go on. And then Secondly, another transaction that we've been looking at is a little bit similar in the gold space is Capital Gold. It's got a mine in Mexico, and that company, just to take it back a little bit, they received an unsolicited offer from another company with an operation in Mexico, Timmins Gold, last year. Capital wasn't very happy with the Timmins offer, so they went out and found themselves a negotiated transaction with a third firm, also with operations in Mexico, Gammon Gold. And so there we've seen a bit of back and forth. Timmins is not happy that Capital standing by the Gammon offer. They say that their transaction is, their price that they're offering is in fact superior, but Capital sticking with Gammon for now. It's interesting in both of these transactions. There's quite a high share element. And that makes it difficult to value the bids or to value the bids on a sustained or ongoing basis, just because all the different companies' shares are moving around all the time. So I think definitely we've got these two competitive situations, and what market watchers and analysts are saying is that it's likely that we'll see that continue to be a theme in the market, that as all these companies are out there looking for their target, looking for ways to grow, there are only so many attractive projects and attractive companies that are, I suppose, reasonably valued. And so I think the competition for those targets will definitely heat up.
Well, thanks, Lizo, for your time. That was the show for today. Join us again next week for more news and insight on mining in the Americas. I'm Martin Joaquino for Creamer Media in Johannesburg.
For 30 years, Creamer Media's engineering news has delivered unmatched insight into South Africa's real economy. Subscribe now and go to engineeringnews.co.za for the real economy in real time. Engineering news, not just for engineers.